Hey guys.
Hey,
Hey,
how are you?
How are you, Romeos?
All good.
All good. All good.
Good to
All
see
good.
some
All good.
some smiling faces. This
Aki, you
morning.
asked the question. How are you doing?
Evening.
And you're all looking very good in this fine Romeo World Headquarters.
But are you feeling good?
I am in Romeo World Headquarters. I am in my league.
Are you in a sparring mood?
We shall see.
I'm feeling good.
We shall see. And to our viewers,
Yes, welcome. Like, subscribe, welcome.
send your comments.
Thanks for coming back. We love you.
Like to hear from you.
Yep.
Yep.
So, what are we talking about today?
Please subscribe.
Yeah, that too.
Let's talk about whether capitalism is broken.
Yeah.
Yeah, you want to talk about it, or yeah, it is?
I want Dominic to start.
Oh, man.
Everything's broken these days, man.
Exactly. Very good. Everything is broken. And is capitalism broken? I think so.
Yeah. The world is broken.
Still better than everything else.
Well, exactly.
So why do you think it's broken? What evidence do you have?
Look, is it broken? To me, it's the best system. It's not perfect, but the best. Why is it broken? Well, it's because it's being attacked by so many different sides. And
But something can get attacked without breaking.
yeah, I know, because what happens is that it sometimes it wilts under pressure. you
Or
know.
bends.
Bends, exactly.
Or
bends. And to me, yeah, it's not perfect, but until further notice, it's the best system because it promotes hard work, sacrifice for the betterment of society. Because I don't believe you can build a society on generosity.
So you're making
Doesn't.
a case. You're making a case for capitalism.
Yeah.
For pure
And
capitalism.
we
though.
can
Right?
We can debate that.
Yeah, you're right.
But I'm not hearing from you that it's absolutely broken. I'm hearing that it's under pressure,
Well,
but I don't hear that it's broken.
Well, what would it mean to be broken?
Yeah.
Right? I mean, broken meaning the capital markets don't work anymore, that, hard work and effort don't get you any place anymore. Like, I agree to the sense
At
that
the
it's
extreme. So at the extreme, I'm just going to answer your question and then let you carry on. At the extreme, yes.
okay. So in that, with that definition, which I agree with, by the way, it's bending.
Yeah.
It's under strain,
Yeah.
which you mentioned earlier.
Exactly.
And I agree with that. I agree that it's under strain,
Yeah.
100%. It's not broken because breaking capitalism would mean, civil wars and all sorts of crap happening, which we're not there yet, thankfully.
Yeah, massive depressions.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So you know what?
You agree with?
I think we're surprisingly, we're on the same wavelength, in a lot of ways.
My head's getting...
So I think capitalism.
Wait.
I think I think one of the obviously the biggest crisis right now around capitalism is income inequality, because at its heart, capitalism should be about people having the opportunity to acquire wealth. And everybody having a free shot at doing that.
and everybody has.
I don't think
Through hard work.
I don't think through hard work. Absolutely.
So you
through
guys agree
entrepreneurship. So I don't think, and I
with
don't
the
think
concept.
I don't think when you have a situation where a generation ago, the CEO, the average CEO was earning 20 times the salary of the lowest paid person in their organization, and now that's up to what, 500.
Okay, so you went directly to income
So
inequality.
income
as
inequality
part,
for me is a huge problem.
Okay, and that's fair. That's a fair comment. It is reality that there is income inequality. However, has the foundation of capitalism been watered down? Can people no longer succeed anymore? Are there barriers to success that there weren't before?
Governments.
I think no. I think no.
Governments.
I think that there are opportunities. There are opportunities.
But listen to what he just said. You don't agree at all that there's barriers?
Well, of course there's barriers. In a complex advanced capitalist society, you need to have some rules of the game. Do we agree on that? Now, of course, we can argue about the degree of those rules and those regulations. Yes. I give you the example of the financial crisis of 2008 and Wall Street, all the deregulation, and they were basically left to do whatever they pleased, and they brought down the world's economy.
Okay.
I think there's a lesson to be learned from that. That's not the capitalism that anybody's advocating.
Okay, and you have a point there. I think he has a point, and you have to give it to him. I give him that point 100%. But the balance that you talk about, again, has the pendulum swung too far under regulation, and we look to deregulate?
I think overall, in the aggregate, I think there's some clear examples where it's gone too far on the regulation side.
Okay.
We had this conversation
Wow.
in the green room. You have a green room, folks. We had this conversation, and like
And
for
the
example,
snacks were
California.
delicious.
California is the example that we come up with. Where absolutely over-regulation. California can hold that as an example where it's gone too far.
Okay.
But overall,
Canada,
in the
maybe.
aggregate, yeah, in some parts, but in the aggregate, I think it's always going to be. There's always going to be a balancing act. There's always going to be a struggle to find the right balance.
Wow, I'm
So, okay,
Surprised.
hold on. You're going to say pleasantly surprised. Hold on. So, are the current trend lines pertaining to capitalism worrisome or not?
I say yes. I agree with him with the income inequality part.
Really?
I think that the concentration of wealth with the billionaires and the growth of the billionaire. Well, forget oligarchs. Like let's not throw names. Let's just let's. I don't like rhetoric, right? So I just want reality. I want facts. The fact that we have so much concentration of wealth, I think, is not healthy, because unfortunately, the politics, especially south of us in the U.S., has been inundated with money, and the fact that money equals free speech and the not so recent Supreme Court decision. I forget the name of the decision. Maybe you guys can chime in. But anyway, there was a decision that money was allowed in politics in the sense that you could have unlimited funds, the PACs, super PACs, and all that stuff. So for me, that's a huge red flag for capitalism, because it's giving too much concentration of power to too few people. Because capitalism is hand in hand with a democracy, and if you can't have a democracy that's functional with too much concentration of wealth, we're going to run into issues. And some of the issues that we're seeing with respect to capitalism today and the strains on capitalism, part of that I think is due to income inequality and the fact that there are a lot of people that are suffering in the middle class, which is less and less prevalent these days.
Yeah, but
and I'm sorry that I'm talking like Aki, and I realize
very moving.
Look at the smile on his face.
Very, very moved.
Why is the middle class suffering?
Well, it's not because they're all lazy.
No,
Thank you.
It's because of the tax.
There's a taxation issue, but listen, but that has to do with government and the government's focus from, listen, when you're being funded by billionaires and the billionaires are getting tax cuts and is being funded by the middle class, that's an issue. That's an issue for society, and that's a societal issue that we have to deal with. I know we're
I may be misinterpreting some of your comments.
Okay.
But I hear concentration of wealth, and I hear erosion of the middle class.
Yes.
I hear income inequality. I hear all these terms being used.
Yeah.
And while some of them are related, I don't think we should be using them interchangeably.
I didn't think I was.
So the fact that you have unbelievably wealthy individuals who exert a disproportionate amount of influence
Well said.
on society at large, including government.
Right. The Koch brothers.
I don't think it's
Murdoch.
anything new. You may argue that the degree to which it's occurring is greater.
Well, that's what I was
right?
trying to say. Yeah.
But it's nothing new. So that's always existed, and I believe it always will exist.
Yes. A certain amount. Yes.
What is more concerning to me is the erosion of the so-called middle class. Yeah. Because what that tells us is that not only is there a movement from the upper echelons of that middle class into high levels of wealth, but we're also seeing a significant rise in levels of poverty.
Yeah, exactly. And that's exactly what I meant, yes.
And I don't know that capitalism over a longer period of time can survive the erosion of the middle class.
No.
I agree, because again, if you're in a democratic society, there's going to be backlash eventually. And right now, the backlash hasn't come about because of politics. What do they call it?
Populism.
Populism, and there's a politics of something that again, my brain doesn't work anymore. But yeah, because of the populism, because of politics of division, us versus them,
Exclusion.
all of the stuff that people use to wield their power. I mean, this is what we're seeing, and to the detriment of the middle class. Because look at the big beautiful bill that just got passed in the States. with Medicare, Medicaid cuts. I mean, these are issues with SNAP payments for for people who don't have enough food to eat. I mean, this is heartless.
Back to the 19th century.
It's heartless for a society that has such wealth. For them to try to punish people as best they can because they don't feel that they're working hard enough. It's a little bit heartless. To your point, I agree. I don't want to see bums in the street. I don't want to see 20-year-olds, panhandling when they can get off their asses and do work. I'm definitely on that on Dominic's camp for that. But at the same time, you got to when there is actually an issue, we do have to take care of our neighbors at a certain point, or else we're going to have this rampant poverty that you talked about, which exists in the States between the haves and have-nots.
And I think, Pat,
and it's going to lead to civil unrest and civil issues, which we have.
I don't know whether civil unrest is or should be the greatest concern as we see this erosion occurring, because I think that there's a likelihood that people who increasingly find themselves in a state of poverty or feel destitute are going to opt for an alternative system.
Alternative system?
Yes.
Such as?
We saw that in history, guys. Communism.
It begins with socialism and it devolves into communism.
That's how communism came to be.
So communism is a failed approach. But
yes.
If we look at...
okay, so I'm just going to interject for a moment and say one could argue, if we look at the world today from a wide-angle lens, one could argue that all systems are currently broken. All.
They are.
So communism isn't working. Socialism
except
isn't
in China,
working.
right, Naran?
Yeah, I think China is the best communist.
It's a different form, agreed. But
form.
I'm going to talk broad strokes. So we can find exceptions to each and every system.
Yes. Yep.
By isolating certain countries.
Correct. Yeah.
But broadly
Some
speaking,
are doing better. Yes.
Every system is
flawed.
currently broken.
It's flawed. I'd say instead of broken, I'd say it's flawed.
Broken in that it's not working for the masses.
Yeah. Okay. I'll take
It's not working for the masses.
Okay.
Therefore, it's broken.
Okay. Yep.
Fair?
Sounds good. Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Agreed.
Well,
so that's what I see as likely next steps, unless some meaningful actions are taken to course correct. And of course, we're talking largely about North America right now, but there are implications globally.
Right. So, Pat, let me.
Europe has been broken for far longer.
Okay. So I just want to go back.
And Canada, by the way.
So your presentation, Pat, that the systems, all of them, are in some sense flawed or broken. I mean, you're saying that they're broken. I think we should have a look at the Scandinavian economies. The Scandinavian economies, I know you're saying...
They're not all the same.
But
when you look at Norway with their petrol wealth, that's one thing.
Norway is an example of where the system they have in place is working for the masses.
Of course,
that's
but
fine. Just like you used the example of China earlier. For the masses,
look what's happening.
The Chinese form of communism arguably is working.
Right. Yeah.
But Scandinavia is not just Norway.
Yeah, Sweden is not doing as well as Norway.
No. But they're doing, arguably their capitalist system seems to have found a better balance of wealth creation and social safety nets.
You chose the one country that has $1 trillion wealth fund.
No,
because
never mind.
Of their
but Norway, Denmark, Finland, Sweden. You look at those countries,
but Sweden
those
is
societies.
not. But they're not doing as well
They're
anymore.
not doing well at all.
They're not doing as well anymore.
Okay.
One of them is because of the migrants and
That's right. That's right. There's a social uprising against the migrants. But in terms of
there's a reason for that. When a large proportion of the attacks against women, with rapes,
right? Okay,
with violent altercations, they're all because of the new migrants that come in. Society kind of breaks down.
Okay, but what I'm saying, yes, you're right in what you're saying. Those are the social challenges that they have. But what I'm saying is, if you look at the economic metrics and to look at their standard of living,
but they're hand in hand. Aki, one does right now. If you take a snapshot, it looks a little bit better. 5-10 years down the road, you have to also be able to look at the trend lines that are happening. Do you think the trend lines are going up or down in Sweden?
I think that the Scandinavian countries have more stable trend lines around the issues that we're talking about.
They did 10 years ago.
I don't think that they are on the abyss, and the economic inequality that we see in other big democratic capitalist societies, that we have those in Sweden necessarily.
But one huge element of Scandinavian countries is that they're very small.
No, but also
compared to Canada.
choose your poison, Aki. Choose your poison. I mean, the fact of the matter is, which country has the most robust economy in the world today?
The U.S.
Okay. So, it means that broad strokes, the system that is in place in the U.S. still works better than all other systems. But there are some problematic trend lines.
It's at a crossroads, right?
There are some problematic trend lines. If they're not addressed, then we can see the situation in the U.S. deteriorate significantly over the course of less than a generation.
And by the way, because the U.S. is such a large part of the money flows in the world, when the U.S. sneezes, the world catches a cold, as they say, right? So the problem, if Sweden goes shitty over the next 5 years and they tumble into disarray, it's not going to fuck up the world.
Of course.
But the U.S. is
the U.S. dollar, the reserve currency.
But if something happens to the U.S., we're all screwed. Meaning globally, there'll be global recession. If this new tariff thing that Trump is embarking on, which has caused stress lines in every relationship, any country to country relationship, especially those with the U.S., if that doesn't work out properly, if somehow things break, which they might, we don't know where this is all going to end. We're in the middle of it right now. But if all of this thing suddenly breaks, comes to a head, what's going to happen?
But we're already seeing some indication around. So if you look at certain European countries, Asian countries that have negotiated, if nothing else, I would say broad stroke agreements, trade agreements with the U.S.
Yeah, one-sided agreements.
But it clearly demonstrates that those countries feel like they have no options. They have no choice.
Well, absolutely, yeah. They're a gun to head. But the other thing, guys, is anything to do with economics takes months, takes quarters. Nothing happens in a week or two when it comes to economics and economic indicators.
Oh yeah, no. And when you say months, you're being kind. It's
exactly. It's quarters.
Yeah.
It's at least a quarter or two. So that's 3 to 6 months minimum. So when you talk about inflationary pressure, we're not even beginning to see it yet. In September, October, November of this year, we're gonna potentially start seeing some of the tariff repercussions that started months ago because there's inventories, there's lag. Yeah. People don't understand that macroeconomics takes quarters, as we said.
Yeah, there's also, we need to make a distinction between earlier in 2025 when there was a lot of talk pertaining to tariffs versus the timing of the implementation,
which
of
were
the
delayed
and
constantly.
It's really from the time of the implementation,
right, which is August,
that you have to measure the impact.
Right.
So we're probably realistically looking at late 2025, early 2026,
exactly,
before we really understand what some of the economic repercussions will be.
Well, that's why the Fed hasn't lowered rates.
So,
they're
guys,
waiting.
I just want, for the sake of time, I want to shift gears a little bit and ask you whether or not you think that some of the generational trends that we may have discussed on this podcast and outside the podcast in the past also play an important role or part in the cracks that we're seeing in the capitalist system.
You mean we're going to blame it on Gen Z?
Here we go again.
I'm not blaming anything on anyone. I'm just looking at whether or not some of the trends that we're seeing as it pertains to capitalism are in part caused by changing mindsets, changing values, beliefs, and so on.
I think one of them is
that's a great comment.
Entitlement.
Okay.
I think,
expand on that.
Well, I think our society is becoming more entitled, that everything has to be free, everything has to be given, has to be put on a silver platter for you.
Participation trophy.
Yeah, exactly.
So
that is impacting.
Right. So hold that thought for just a moment. So earlier we talked about what capitalism is at its core.
Yeah.
And I heard at least two of you exchange on this notion that through effort, through hard work, historically in a capitalist system, one could expect some level of a reward.
Yes.
Right. Now, obviously, there's a factor of luck that enters into the equation. Right, opportunistic elements factor into the equation.
Timing, luck, and skill, yeah.
But fundamentally, there was a correlation, a positive correlation,
definitely,
that most people agreed to with respect to the harder you work,
the more chance,
the greater the rewards.
Yeah, the probability of success. Yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
And it still exists.
So what you're saying is that if people are not willing to work hard,
There you go.
if people have an expectation, a sense of entitlement,
Sure.
that good things should be provided to them just because they exist, then capitalism, the concept or the premise of capitalism starts to crack or break down.
Yeah.
Well, the bottom-up strength of capitalism is eroding.
Exactly.
Because people feel entitled and don't want to work as hard. And that's,
So you agree with that?
I definitely agree with
Aki,
that.
do you agree with that?
I think that we are right now going through some significant changes. If you look at the job market, so if you look at the job market, around the pandemic and after right after the pandemic, and it was an employees market. There were low unemployment. People had more choices, and people took advantage of that. I think now that that has shifted, and right now we're getting into a much more difficult job market. And I think people that's changing attitudes. If we're talking about younger workers and people who are starting their careers, I think attitudes are changing since last year.
How are they changing?
They're changing in that it's a little bit like our generation. I mean in the when we graduated from university, in my case, I think most of us was in the 80s. It was a horrible job market. So you really had to scramble, and you really had to make sure that you did your homework. You build your contacts, you did your networking, you did the legwork. You had to work
And we
very
did it,
hard,
right?
And we did that.
Are the kids these days doing that?
I think now with the job market right now, what we're seeing and all the technology changes that are eliminating so many entry level positions for young graduates. I think now that these kids now are going back to that mode of really hunkering down and being serious and working very hard to build that CV, to build those contacts and get their foot in the door. I think we're at that point right now.
Okay, I think Aki has a point. I can't disagree with your point that it's more difficult now than it has been over the past, let's say, before the pandemic. I agree with that, but I also agree with Dominic that the kids that are coming of age these days don't seem to have the backbone or the intestinal fortitude of overcoming these challenges as much as somehow we did in the past. And I know this isn't how can I say it? This isn't like I can't give you examples, or people can find examples, but how can I say it? This is my feeling. This is how
It's your opinion.
It's my opinion.
Yeah, it's our
Thank
opinion.
you.
Which is what this is all about anyway.
But
That's true.
I'll give you the reason why you feel that way. Because this is the video game generation. They think life has a reset button. You can start over anytime you want.
But do you really, anecdotally now, I mean, the young people that around you, is that what you really see?
No, because they're around me.
Your observation, though, is in general that young people, this generation...
He's being selective about who he allows.
They're real lightweights.
His orbit.
They're real lightweights, and they're entitlement crazy.
Obviously, there's always exceptions, and those are the ones that appreciate.
So I was working, my position, my last position was, overseeing an organization that provided employment support and entrepreneurship support to people who were building their lives here in our province of Quebec in Canada, right? And not at all. I mean, a lot of them were foreign trained with great credentials. There were people that coming out of our universities. But not everybody is really positioned to be able to jump into that job market and get those open doors and be able to wow people in interviews. There's a process. And my point though is maybe 95% of the people that we worked with, and we would be working with about 2,000 people a year. So 95% of those people, and mostly, in their late 20s would be the average age, 95% of them, no, there was no sense of entitlement. There was drive, there was seriousness about, how I want to learn anything.
But Aki,
they were
came
famished.
to you.
Aki, they came to exactly the people that you're seeing were the people that wanted jobs, not the people that wanted to panhandle in the streets.
When you do networking events, and
you got to see the cream of the crop.
You saw
I know.
2,000, and then
There's people. There's some of them. There were some of them.
20,000 that did go.
There were some of them.
Exactly, you saw the good ones.
Right, but I'm saying it's a mixed bag. You can't paint everybody with that broad brush that you're painting them, that they're all video game puppets.
Not all, but listen.
Well, the majority, right? Aren't you saying that in your opinion that's the majority of the generation?
There's too many of them.
Look at the trend line. That's all he's saying. Is from a trend line perspective, part of the problem with capitalism is and the working hard to achieve success is that some people aren't willing to work hard anymore. Yeah, and I think that trend line.
You think there's more of that?
Well, the trend line is that is increasing, is what we're saying. And, you're seeing the best of the best coming to you for jobs. Yeah, because that was what your center was
So,
about.
guys, I'm just going to interrupt for a moment. Yeah. And I apologize, I'm shifting gears here, but
okay.
Just listening to the conversation just brings certain questions to mind.
Are you downshifting or upshifting?
We're about to find out.
Speed shift. Go.
So we're in the midst of the greatest transfer of wealth
Yes.
in the history of humankind.
Yeah, that doesn't help.
You're talking about the boomer generation to...
Yeah.
Okay.
Right? So the process has begun.
Yeah.
Yep. We're
And
dying.
And it'll be carried out over the course of close to a
Get out the
generation.
depends.
I'm wearing them now. I don't want to go to the bathroom when I'm doing this. Sorry.
Do you have air fragrance, Pat?
A lot easier. The flow comes a lot easier if you don't keep going on tangents, Aki.
Hey, sorry, Pat.
It's my fault.
So,
Shit disturber.
if you agree that we're in the midst of the greatest transfer of wealth in the history of humankind,
Yeah.
do we think that the younger generations that are inheriting this wealth
Yeah.
are suddenly going to adopt a different mindset than the one they've had?
That's
Some
a
will.
huge, that's a huge problem.
We're talking about whether
Aggregate,
the
no.
majority will or not.
On aggregate, no. I agree with you.
That's a huge problem. I do agree with you. That's gonna, make the problem even more.
So
Well,
doesn't that support the argument that the issue that we began to discuss in this podcast only gets accentuated or aggravated over the course of the coming generation?
Let me give you a counterpoint to
Okay.
that. And the counterpoint that I have in my head is when that transfer of wealth occurs and the younger generation now has more money in their hands, I think what they're going to do is they're going to spend it. And I think that's going to be a short-term blip upwards for capitalism, bottom up, because there's going to be spending.
Consumer spending.
And the consumerism is going to increase, I think, from a services perspective, because a lot of these younger kids aren't about things as much as experiences.
So I agree with your logic, with your argument. I disagree with the use of capitalism in the sense you just applied.
Consumerism is more what I'm talking about.
Because capitalism is not one-sided.
Yeah.
It's not about spending.
Yeah, you're right. Well,
That's
half the...
it's the other half. You
Right.
have to earn it
Yeah.
before you spend it.
Exactly.
And one could argue that inheritance is earned. I don't subscribe to that.
I don't either. It's not earned.
And again, historically, I think that there's overwhelming evidence to demonstrate that the generation that follows one which has earned wealth
squanders wealth.
generally squanders it.
Squander, exactly. But in squandering,
and before Aki
consumerism
says
will
it,
go up.
there are always some exceptions to that. So you have people today who will inherit great wealth
Yeah.
and will multiply that wealth.
Yeah.
But do we agree that they are in the minority?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Far in the minority.
Most of them will spend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Totally agree.
It's going to be a blip
In
for
a way,
consumerism.
it's not dissimilar to the individual who wins the lottery,
Yeah,
the
exactly.
jackpot,
Yeah.
Exactly.
and was destitute before winning the lottery, and a year or two later is once again
Can
destitute.
I give an example?
Yeah.
Of somebody who isn't Larry Ellison and his son.
Yes.
His son, big businessman. He could have sat on his laurels, take daddy's money, but he's got a media.
So
company.
he's not sitting on his laurels. You're right,
Yeah.
but he is taking daddy's money.
Yeah, but he could have
Okay.
just
So would I.
he could have taken daddy's money and just buy.
I don't know if his daddy would have allowed that.
Exactly.
But he's parlaying
That
that.
was my point. I think the parents.
Yes, he's an exception.
Yeah, the parents have to make sure that doesn't happen. The ones who are bequeathing the wealth.
Yeah,
have to make sure.
I would maybe rephrase it a little bit, and I would rephrase it. I think what's happening is that there's also the other example of, and you can see this with family businesses, right? That the next generation and the people that we know, the parents who started the small business, succeeded, they passed on the business to their offspring. And the choice is a lot of them sell their interest in the business and go live the good life. So there's now Are they? So are we? Are they basically wasting all that wealth, that inheritance? Like what is
It
their
depends what they
situation?
do with the money.
They
I mean,
don't. They just live. You know, they live socially. They live off of the.
Well, then his
the
point is
income.
valid.
They're
That's
not earning.
They're not earning.
They're not
it.
earning.
No,
They're not
If
earning.
if you inherit significant wealth at the age of 30, and it could be in the form of a business, to stick with your example, and you choose to divest yourself of that business,
Right.
and you then use the proceeds of the sale of that business to support
a great lifestyle.
a great lifestyle.
But you live within your means.
Well, yeah.
What does that mean?
If you have 100 million in your bank account, your means are strong.
Most
Well, whatever.
people, Aki, most people in our society do not live within their means.
Yeah, I agree.
You agree with that?
I agree with that.
So that doesn't change just because you inherit a huge amount of wealth. You'll just increase your level of spending
Exactly.
and continue
Typically, yeah.
to act somewhat recklessly.
But you don't burn through the. I mean, what the examples that I'm talking about, you're not burning through the wealth. You're living responsibly.
No,
Yes.
no,
That's
the
not
example
what-
you're giving is going to apply to the minority of people who
Mike Tyson.
inherit great wealth.
Mike Tyson.
Listen, in my circle of acquaintances, I can give you countless examples of children of immigrants who came here with nothing,
Yeah.
built a business, transferred that business over to their kids, and their kids either ran the business into the ground or sold the business and ran out of money.
Okay.
And I can't give you anything other than a few examples of that.
we all see
but I
that.
believe that's representative of society at large.
Yeah, so there you go.
Well, when something's given to you, when you haven't earned it with your own blood, sweat, and tears, it's not the same. And that's the reality. When you build your own business from scratch, it's yours. It's your DNA is in that business.
I know.
You hand it off to a child who hasn't lived it, not like Larry Ellison's son, but others who don't have that same ownership of that business.
So part of saving capitalism is also, I mean, how we raise these kids, this generation.
Well, there we go.
Right, that's part of it as well.
Yeah,
and
well,
for
we
those
failed.
people,
No, so it's not how we raise, because we're done. You have to speak in the past tense.
Yeah, it's true.
We raised a generation,
Yeah.
and that generation is now of working age. They're all
And of
grown
child-rearing
adults
age.
and child rearing age, and so how they raise their kids,
right,
Yeah,
right,
is going to be
Right.
much more a factor in terms of where we go from here with respect to
I
capitalism.
guess my point though is, as sensible people, of course us, we are sensible people, but at large, when we're talking about this transfer of wealth, those successful people that are doing this transfer, right? As parents, as role models, how do they, prepare that generation so that they can step up and be responsible with what they are inheriting?
it's too late for that.
Is it?
Yes.
Okay, so yes, your point is valid, but so is his. It's too late for that. The thing is, we're down that road. It's not like, hey, we can snap our fingers and say you raised your kids wrong.
So I'm gonna paint a couple of scenarios for you. There are members of our generation who will leave wealth to their kids, and the way they transfer that wealth is going to reveal everything you need to know about the confidence they have in their offspring's ability to either build on that wealth or squander that wealth.
Talk about trusts.
So some people will leave money in a trust. Why? To ensure that their kids don't spend recklessly and or run out of money before they run out of time.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Oh,
Of course it does. Of course it does.
You have some who will look at some of their offsprings and say, they've demonstrated to me that they're extremely responsible, ambitious, hardworking. I'm going to transfer wealth to them knowing
They'll do well with
that they will do well with it.
it. Yeah. They'll know how to handle it.
You know what the trick is?
And you have those who will transfer the wealth in a less than orderly fashion, and it will get squandered.
Yeah.
Those are the three scenarios that I
Pat,
envision.
I think the best option is the second one. However, don't do it until they're much older. Let them buy a house. Let them have a mortgage. Let them have car payments. Let them experience.
But already, Dominic, when young people buy a house or buy a condo, buy a property, the way in which they acquire that property in relation to their means tells you a lot
No, I understand.
about their thinking,
But-
right? So our parents, by and large, came to this country with nothing. Yet they acquired homes, they acquired assets, they built businesses,
Yeah.
and they lived most of their existence debt-free. Most.
Yeah.
That's no longer true.
No.
So we already, as a generation, present company excluded, began to live beyond our means. And we transfer that to our kids along with a sense of entitlement.
Yeah.
Like,
Bad combination.
To the point where today most young people who buy a home look at how they can minimize
The down payment, yeah.
the down payment and their monthly payments
Yeah.
and maximize the length of their mortgage, the term.
Yeah,
'Cause they don't-
5% down, 30-year
Whereas
mortgage.
we may have already started the process of living beyond our means, but most of us, I believe, most of our generation felt that it was a priority to pay down your mortgage.
yeah.
Yeah.
And it should be.
But it's no longer true.
To be debt-free, basically.
It's no longer true.
That's because property values have gone way up
That's
compared to salaries.
That's, I think, a legitimate point, but used too often as an excuse
Agree.
to rationalize reckless behavior.
But my point was that is that if you raise your kids, properly, I hate to use the word, but and you don't give them anything too significant until they're way into their life, let them experience.
It'll be more helpful.
I think what you're suggesting can only help at the same time as I will suggest that we should not underestimate social pressures
Yeah.
and social media influence.
Okay, so what I'm really saying, if they squander it after I die, I'm okay.
No, but the point is, when will you die? Because if you die now, they're still young.
I just
But if you
don't-
die in like 20 years,
No,
I think his point is when he's
Oh
dead.
my God.
When he's dead,
He doesn't give a
it
shit.
no longer matters to him.
Exactly. I don't want to see it. That's all.
He's not in a conscious state.
Exactly. I don't want to see it. That's all.
Yeah.
I know it sounds silly, but
But your
Really
point is
good guy.
valid. I mean, if the kids are older, then they'll have more experience, they'll have more life experience. But to your point, they're still going to have pressures, societal pressures.
Bad habits are hard to break.
Yeah.
at
I
any age.
agree. But
At
if
any age.
they don't have those bad habits to start with, then you should be okay.
So why can't we correct this? I mean, why is it not possible for? I mean, given the pressures now that these today's parents who are at that stage where they're going to be transferring. Why are we not learning the lesson of making sure that the offspring are responsible people and they are financially literate and they can manage this properly?
But look at the amount of change that you want to happen in such a short amount of time. Look at the fact that we have social media that's poisoning everyone's minds. Right now with look at what I have, this is what you need, this is the best. I actually like the trend of the younger folks these days that are kind of turning away from possessions and looking at experiences more. I actually think that's a great thing, and hopefully that trend will continue from a consumerism perspective. So as opposed to having to buy, this mug, this coffee mug that's going to cost $100 because it has a Labubu on it or whatever the hell they call these new shit, whatever new trend that comes out.
No, I think that's the minority. I mean, I know, guys are my age where their kids got married, and the kids bought this huge house, $2 to $3 million. Parents gave them $2 million.
Yeah, but that's my point. At which point do we get the lesson and we do a better
No,
job?
I think
Who's we?
Society.
So the answer to that is it's not going to happen.
It's like terraforming. You're going to change a society.
You as a single individual or as a couple, as parents of adult children, can continue to apply your belief system in the hope that it's going to have a positive influence. However, society at large won't, particularly in a capitalist system.
Yeah.
Because one side of the coin, which Nuran talked about eloquently some time ago, was the consumerism side. So that never goes away. Yeah. When you are being bombarded daily, and whether it's about experiences or belongings,
Yeah.
You're being bombarded. And when I say you, we are all being bombarded on a daily basis throughout the day, being told that if we don't want this, we should.
Yeah.
If we don't think we need this, we should change our perspective and realize that we do need it.
Yeah. You need to fly first class.
So
you need to fly private.
So
we're helpless. Society is helpless in the
Society-
middle
Well,
of that
so
force.
we're helpless. I think capitalist societies are helpless as far as the consumerism pressures are always going to be intense.
And increasing.
What we do have the opportunity to change, and it's not just going to happen, it needs to be orchestrated, it needs to be planned, it needs to be executed, is belief systems moving away from this sense of entitlement to recognizing the relationship between effort and reward.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's going to happen over the course of the next generation because of this massive transfer of wealth.
Yeah.
I think it's going to take more than a generation.
And
So well said.
Aren't we selling them short though? I mean, do they
So
not?
well said what you just said.
So
Wow.
By moving on, I would respond to that. Are we not selling them short? I mean, that, are we not maybe, also as far
Well, there's going to be
savvy as they are?
exceptions. Listen,
So-
Aki, you're talking about exceptions.
I'm
He's
talking-
talking about the rule.
I also, I'm going to interject. You're saying, are we not selling them short? So it is true that the four of us are highly opinionated and we're passing judgment.
Definitely.
However, from a broader perspective, let's put that aside. It is what it is. So, our kids could be sitting at this table having a conversation and it goes in a completely different direction.
And it would, definitely.
I'm
I
not sure
think.
about that.
It's not good or bad. It is, in our view, it may be because we're applying judgment, but it is what it is.
I'm just saying, guys, that I do see some hope in that. That just as they are so tech savvy.
We're not saying
generation.
everyone
What
is.
are you hopeful for?
I'm hopeful though that they can that they like they recognize the pull of this consumerism
Some
and
will.
they're able to manage it properly. It's a question of
but
what the
Aki,
proportion is.
Well, that's what I mean. So
That's where-
you're talking the exception. He's talking the rule. That's what I'm saying.
Look, guys, even amongst ourselves, the four of us, or extend that to our family members and friends that are of the same generation as we are, right? There are some common threads for sure, but there are also, in some cases, significant differences about some of the choices we made
Definitely, yeah.
from an early age, from early adulthood, in terms of the type of work we pursued, the degree to which we pursued, amassing assets, building our wealth, living our lives in a certain way, indebting ourselves. I mean, it's all over the map,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, it is.
But there are some threads. There are some common threads. That I will grant you. And the same will be true of the next generation,
Yep.
and the one after that, and the one after that.
Yeah.
They're just generational trends, right? So I think what's important is just to recognize and understand the trends, understand the causal factors, understand the behaviors that are likely to be exhibited. And then if you happen to be an individual who will be transferring wealth or assets of any magnitude,
Yeah. You got to think about it.
you need to think about it.
Oh, of
Yeah.
course.
And you either take the attitude of when I'm no longer here, I don't give a damn.
That's
so
Dominic.
let them do as they wish. Or you have an attitude of,
I want to protect them.
I want to protect them based
Yeah.
on what you believe they need to be protected from or
There's an
against.
upside to poverty.
Yeah.
Nothing to transfer. There's something to be said about that as a position in life.
Well, less to think about.
Well, look, I'm just going to use numbers for the sake of making an example. So think about it. You have $1 million to transfer to a 30-year-old. Right? You can transfer the $1 million to a 30-year-old. And if it's a typical 30-year-old today, how long do you think that $1 million is going to last?
No more than 3 years.
Yeah.
I'm not going to debate the point because I think that's a reasonable
Yeah.
timeline.
It depends on the 30-year-old, right?
That's
And how
exactly-
they've been taught. And
3 years if he's a little slow.
Or you can place that $1 million in a trust
yeah.
There you go.
and transfer. I'm going to use a number somewhere between $3,000 and $4,000 a month
Yes.
Yeah.
to the to the heir, to the individual
Yeah.
whose name the trust is,
Yeah.
That's a much better.
right?
Yeah.
So you can probably preserve that $1 million.
At 3,000-4,000 a month, yeah, you will.
Definitely.
Right? You may see a slight decline.
Yeah,
You might see an appreciation.
yeah,
Yeah.
But I'm going to say you're preserving that $1 million
yeah.
so that, and you can adjust for cost of living or inflation. And you would say, okay, so for the rest of that 30-year-old's life, they're going to receive the equivalent in today's dollars of $3,000 to $4,000 a month.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the big question mark about how they're going to live their life after that, managing any resources or building anything.
Well, no,
in their life.
it's not.
They're 30 years
Yeah,
old. What has
exactly.
prevented them from demonstrating their ability
Exactly.
Yeah, up until now.
between the age of 20 and 30
Yeah,
to do that?
It's just going to give them a better cash flow.
12 years of adulthood.
Yeah.
I had
Right.
to-
Yeah. All I'm saying
So
is,
I'm just giving an example.
yeah.
It's a perfect example.
Right,
Yeah,
but I think, but we all want that individual to be.
You would want that
we want
individual
that's right. We
to
want
be-
them by doing what we just discussed. You're setting them up properly, and then you want that individual for the rest of their life to be a responsible person and not
No,
not go
you're
over a
forcing
financial
them.
cliff.
No,
You're forcing them.
You're
yeah.
forcing them.
Exactly. Because
Yeah, but
do that.
Right.
$4,000
Yeah,
a
but-
month.
But by the same
doesn't-
token, you've done that, but then they're liable still to crash at some point if
Yeah,
they're
but-
not
Of course they
more
are.
mature and more intelligent.
But at least they're going to have 3,000 coming in a
Okay.
month
Exactly.
to help
Well, let me
them
ask
out.
you, do you think that 30-year-old who's now receiving a gift, because that's what it is, a
Yeah.
gift of $3,000 to $4,000 a month, do they decide to stop working?
It depends on the
And,
individual.
and
Yeah.
they're now going to use that $3,000 to
Possible.
support a lifestyle of experiences?
Yeah.
Or do they say, well, this $3,000 to $4,000 a month
It's not enough.
is a nice boost
yeah, I
Yeah.
can start
to,
saving more
to
money.
what I could earn?
That.
Yeah.
$3,000-4,000 is not enough to live.
Yeah, you go to Thailand and you live in Thailand.
wow.
You go to Vietnam, you go to some country
Yeah.
where you can live off of that and you don't do anything.
Dominic,
Minorca.
I agree with you.
Almost.
I can also tell you that there's some 30-year-olds who would look at that as, I get a free ride.
I don't have to work anymore.
yeah,
I can get an apartment and feed myself at $3,000 to $4,000 a month.
And that's what scares me.
It doesn't have to scare you because it doesn't apply to you.
No, it does because, society at large, my kids are going to live
You
in
said
that.
it earlier. You're not going to live here. It's a concern while you're of this world.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean,
There's nothing you can do about it afterwards.
I
Yeah,
know.
but you want again, we're talking about capitalism, we're talking about society, and what we want is people who are reasonable, who are responsible.
that's what we want.
That's what we
But
want.
what do
So
we
when you-
got?
whenever-
and I guess my point is I feel like I have a responsibility to contribute to that, to the people that are in my world, that I can support them so that they can reach that level.
No one is preventing you from doing that.
Yeah, you've
Yeah,
done
but
that with
but
your
I will-
kids.
that's a common. I mean, that's what society needs. Capitalism needs.
But I will say this. I hear you repeatedly saying, I want what I want, what I want. When I hear that, I equate it to I hope.
Yeah.
And hope is not a strategy.
Let me rephrase it. As a responsible member of this society, this is what I want to step up to do.
You have done it for your family.
Right, but
But
we
not
show-
everyone is you.
I know, but that should be that as a society.
Yeah,
That's
should,
what socially
would, could,
social
hope.
responsibility. That is
Yeah.
social responsibility.
Yes,
there's nothing. And then
the
if we
rainbow.
have, I know, but if we have no sense of social responsibility, we have nothing.
Aki, yes, we can hope for all of this stuff, but hope isn't the strategy, as we've always said. And the reality, we got to look at reality. The reality is this is not what's happening. If it were, then we wouldn't be under the pressures that we are, and capitalism wouldn't be under the pressures that it is under, and democracy wouldn't be under the pressures that it is under. All this stuff is happening for a reason. What you said about that double whammy of people being, lazier, for want of a better term, and the fact that there's going to be a transfer of wealth to these same people, that just blew my mind because connecting those two dots
Scary, yeah?
is yes, that
It
is
is.
really super scary.
It is.
And not right this moment, but over the next 10, 15 years, that is going to be very, very, very problematic, I think.
So
It was like
I will only add
Seeing
this.
the light.
I will only add this commentary. When you use a time horizon of 15 years, 10 to 15 years, I'll actually extend it to a generation.
Well, 20 years.
It's not going to change.
No,
Oh,
It's not going to change.
no, it's not.
It doesn't mean that the next generation will follow in those footsteps. It means that for the current generation that we're referring to, it's not going to change.
Because you need a slap.
Which, Aki, it doesn't mean that there may not be within that grouping some individuals who see the light of day and decide that they're going to change.
Of course.
Yeah.
But I'm talking general trend lines. Yeah. It's not going to change.
Yeah.
Well, that's not very optimistic, guys.
Well, I still believe in capitalism, and the only problem is that we want people to be responsible.
Exactly.
But our governments are not.
Yeah.
So that's a huge problem.
Yeah. So I don't see the necessary ingredients in place for our idea of capitalism to be sustained over the course of the coming generation,
or to flourish.
Too. Certainly not to flourish. Certainly not.
You're right.
Yeah.
So I think that some of the fault lines that we see will actually get aggravated or accentuated.
Yeah.
And I see a deterioration in the system. Whether or not that then yields place to a complete alternative system remains to be seen. I don't think it'll get to that in North America. Certainly not in the US. I don't foresee that over the course of the next generation or two. But there are a number of countries where I think that the forces will be too great, and we're going to start seeing greater leanings towards socialism, and perhaps even communism.
Wow. Yeah.
I don't know if it'll go that far, but at least a strong socialist, bent.
And we know that's not a solution.
No, that's going to be detrimental.
So look,
wow, yeah.
The point that I'm trying to make is that we all have a responsibility. Society has a responsibility to educate, to make sure that we are creating a next generation that is capable, that is mature, that is financially literate. This is not it's not autopilot. Capitalism is built on talent, good sense, and ability, and every generation has a responsibility to build on that and to develop themselves into being like productive members of society.
Aki, you're being idealistic once again,
Of
because
course.
the reality is that most of the people in the age group we're referencing are on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, and myriad other social media platforms, none of which are intended to help them develop their financial literacy or acumen.
So Aki is right, but he's being idealistic. He's right. Everyone should be like this.
But it's not going to happen.
But that's what capitalism is. It's idealism too.
Your views are. I think they're correct. You have a great point of view.
Thank you,
The problem is it ain't gonna happen. That's the problem.
Nuran, Aki being idealistic. Really.
Never would have thought.
More cookies for you, Nuran. Extra cookies for Nuran today.
I would like to see you focus on realism.
Yeah, that's
as
the one
opposed
thing.
to idealism.
No, he's a socialist. Come on.
Guys, no.
But he's right. Like I have to give it to you that what you're saying is correct. It's just the problem is that it's not happening.
You do it, and you
yeah,
do it.
But there's an aggregate. There's a world out there.
Guys. All I'm saying is that all I'm
Yes,
saying
you're
is
correct. It's just not going to happen.
In order for us to be able, to continue to have the systems that benefit everybody, we have to do some heavy lifting to make sure.
Who's we?
Society. He's talking about society.
I'm talking about what is our responsibility in this life as individuals.
You're right, but
the trend lines don't support
Aki,
what you're saying.
you say we do it, we do it.
Yeah, you're right. The trend lines don't. I'm trying to reverse those trend lines.
you can't.
No, you're not. You're hoping.
You're
not doing,
but
you're not doing anything to reverse.
If we have more, if our way of living and if our philosophy can be more in the majority,
we need to clone you.
Yeah, but even us, we have no proof that we did it right yet.
That's true.
No, and look, and the fact
the doghouse beckons once again. Dominic and the doghouse.
So it's interesting that the standard of living, on aggregate, the standard of living for most people living in capitalist society is actually declining.
Yeah.
And the one place in the world concurrently where the standard of living
you're going
on aggregate
right.
is actually improving
Ni hao.
is a communist regime. Just putting it out there. Not in favor of it, just putting it out there.
Totally
Okay,
agree.
guys, we're going to wrap it.
Sure.
I want to thank our listeners and viewers on everyone's behalf for joining us. We would love to hear from you on this topic. Please, please, please weigh in. And while you're at it, don't forget to like us and subscribe to the podcast.
Yeehaw.
And we'll look forward to seeing everyone next week.
Live in Beijing.